Well, hello. So we have yet another sketchbook tour. And of course, as soon as I go on camera, there's construction next door. It's it's like I planned it. Anyways, I don't think it's too loud, so I will go ahead. This one, you're probably gonna see much further into the fall because I have a whole stack of videos to post. So this one, if you think way back to summer, which is just the other day for me, but in future me, it's a while ago. This book is August 8th to September 9th, 2023. It's a Stillman Burn beta series, which is a nice weight of watercolor paper. And this is, oh, and there goes the cat. So let me take a break. Okay, so Zoe's on my lap now, and hopefully she'll be good and quiet. So we'll get on. Anyways, this sticker, as I was saying, was from the National Gallery of Canada. When I went there, I think it was mid-August. Went just for the day with my old boss and my friend. So just slapped that on there. And first page I left blank, but then I got some pencils, so I just started doing little circles of Derwent color, Derwent Chromaflow and Derwent Studio, and then a couple of markers as well. And it starts with, I went to go see my friend who lives on Bloor West, and I was early, so I just did a sketch of the shops along Bloor near Runnymede. And I took myself down to Harbourfront for the day on my bike. So I sketched a boat that was going on a guided tour. And then I just turned in my seat and faced the power plant, which is actually a contemporary art gallery and performance space. And I just sketched one side of it. Then this was still just turned a little bit in my chair. Didn't have to move far. This is Queens Quay Terminal Building, which is now shops, offices, theater, and condos above. This was while I was sitting having a pedicure done at the 10 spot. And this is construction across the street, the big crane. Somebody getting their nails done. And then we went out for dinner that night, and this is Boku in the distillery district, Japanese place, really good. And really nice patio that they have. And then I was on my own. So what I usually do when I'm on my own for a weekend is I go to one of the nearby diners for breakfast at least one day. And George Street Diner was the place that I chose that day. They do Irish breakfast. The owner's Irish, so they have Barry's tea, and soda bread comes with it instead of toast. And it's kind of nice just every once in a while. And there's Barry's tea sitting on the counter there. And then I didn't want to go back home, so I went for a coffee. And this little pup was sitting there. I didn't get a really good drawing them because as soon as I started, they were off. I was sitting looking down on Frederick towards Front Street, and this is just Frederick, and the Young People's Theater is over here. Maybe I just... And then Urban Sketchers Toronto had a meetup with a tour of Osgoode Hall, which is the Law Society building. So while I was waiting for the tour to start, I did a quick sketch of the outside of the building. And while we were in, after the tour, I sat in the library, which is really, really neat place. Sat and sketched. I had a really, really bad migraine starting. I think it was weather related. And yeah, so it was nice and cool in there and quiet, but I just was finding it really difficult to concentrate. So I left and I started walking home, and this is a little, it's not really a park yet. It's kind of in between some office buildings, and there's some restaurants around, and I think this is an event space now. So I just took out my gouache sticks and did this little building here. It's kind of a neat old warehouse building, and then some of the other buildings, and there's, I forget what happened here, something to yeah. So again, I wasn't feeling the greatest, but I'm kind of happy with the texture of these gouache sticks. It was kind of neat. And was this the same day? Yes. I actually made it to, I knew my husband was working at home and he had a lot of calls, and I knew my headache wouldn't be able to take that, so I kind of just made my way home really slowly. And this is St. James Park. They have another beautiful display of flowers. They're constantly rotating them throughout the season. And that weekend, we went to explore the Well, which is a new development on Spadina near Wellington and Wellington in front. And this is one building, new building there, and kind of funky seating. And there's a coffee shop just right behind this, and looking out into old warehouse buildings on Spadina. And one day I took my friend's daughter to the AGO. It was kind of rainy day. We were gonna go sketching outside, but it was not so nice out. So we decided to go to the AGO, and we sat and sketched there. I added the colors afterwards, because I know from working in museum environment myself, you're not supposed to do that in the galleries. But they are this bright pink and bright turquoise teal color. And I just added the gold. You can really see the gold glinting now. It didn't look that. Oh, I kind of like the texture there. And that's gouache on the background. And when I dropped her off with her mom, we sat at Starbucks and I did this sketch looking out the window after they left, and a hot dog seller on King near John. And then I turned around, because that's what you should do. Turn around, there's always another scene behind you. And I did the Starbucks. It's a brand new Starbucks in an old warehouse building, so it's kind of a neat environment. And then another weekend on my own. So I went to the Patrician Grill Diner this time and had their usual breakfast deal. And I went back to that Starbucks, and I had been to Above Ground just before this, and I got these neat, I've probably shown them in another video, these Edding acrylic markers, and they've got really neat tips on them, chisel tips. So I just put that on. The wall wasn't actually green. It was kind of boring sort of color. And I started to sketch him with this is the warm beige, and this is the mellow mint. But he didn't stay very long, so I quickly put him in. And then I sat and looked out the window and just sketched people going about their business. Just really, really quick sketches, because nobody was lingering. The next day I sat at Neo Coffee again and sketched this building, which is just at Frederick and King. And then I went for lunch, and I sat across from Massey Hall, which is a really great venue for music and I guess they have other things, but mostly music. I've seen a lot of concerts there over the years, and they've just renovated it, so it's supposedly even better. But then across, or by Massey Hall, there was a bunch of young people lined up, and I'll have to pop up who they were waiting for because I can't remember because I'm old, but a friend told me who it probably was. And then skip to September 2nd, another weekend, and it was actually the long weekend, and we sat on a blanket on Corktown Common for a while and had the jets going overhead for the air show, which I don't really like. It's really loud. But these two kids were playing, I think they're brother and sister, and they were each wearing, I'm not making it up, she had a tan shirt on and blue shorts. He had a blue shirt on and tan shorts. And she was over the other side of the fence there, which probably shouldn't have been. But they were looking into the pond at all the things. There's frogs in there and ducks. It's kind of a neat place. And this was the same day that I was at near Massey Hall, and I just sat on Yonge Street, the world's longest continuous street, and sketched this building. It's an old building that I've always liked, and they've renovated it not too long ago. And while I was sitting waiting for, I think I had, well, I guess that was the weekend too. I sketched this in the Surrey district, a place, I think it's, I've never actually been to this restaurant. I think it's Spanish or Mexican, I'm not sure. And then we sat at Jason George for a pint, which we like to do. And I sketched these three people sitting there. And then I was having a meeting. I met up with the International Watercolor Society president because they're doing a feature on my handmade watercolors in their magazine. And I met him at Balzac's coffee shop in the distillery. So I did a quick sketch before he showed up. And then there was an event from Articulation's art shop in Toronto in the Junction. They call it Sketch the Junction, and we all met up. There's contests. I didn't bother entering. I paid to register, but I didn't bother actually entering the contest. So they're gonna have a little show of people who submitted things. So that is Dundas Street West. And then this really interesting building is Miyok. It's this kind of Scandinavian meets Japanese lifestyle shop on Dundas. The building's actually white, but I wanted to use this again, so I did a quick sketch there. And then this was just before we left. The friend that I went with, she had to have something to eat, so I quickly sketched with the gouache sticks and then colored pencil. And this was from something that I was testing out here, transferred onto that at some point. But that's it. That is a month in pictures. So I'm starting a new book that the friend that I took to the AGO, she got me this little sketchbook from Bosner's in Berlin. So I started sketching while I was at figure drawing the other day. It's got a thinner paper. It's very cream colored. So I'm gonna have to be careful with what I use in here. This is just Faber-Castell oil pit pencil in Sanguine, and then some Ecoline markers. And I think that's Zoe telling me I have to go. So thanks very much. Bye.